What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your daily creative reading for August 9th. We're going to hop right in here. I hope that everyone is enjoying their Lionsgate week thus far. I did the activation that Christina Lopes posted, and hoo boy, it's been pretty interesting. A little bit tiring, though. It's quite surprising. I fell asleep for the first part of the meditation, and then as soon as it got to the part about stepping through the portal and the light activation coming through, I woke up for that part, and I was like, whoa. And it just had this kind of amazing lucid experience, and I feel like I could sleep for a year, so I'm going to be... indulging in some very important rest for a bit this evening. But nonetheless, let us away, my friends. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for August 9th, please? Okay, so with love. All right. And let's see what else we've got here. And we also have celebrate life. I like that energy a lot. Okay, so let's kick this off here. Dearest you, a rigid tree branch breaks under strong winds, yet flexible seaweed survives powerful ocean swells. Right now, we gently remind you that being flexible is a good choice when faced with life's challenges. Surrender your fixed ideas to Spirit, who knows what is in your highest good and can deliver to you what you need in the appropriate form. In this moment, rather than fighting or being too sure of your own way working out, be a little looser and allow for another outcome. Compromise can be the best way forward if you're to learn new ways of doing and seeing. Yep. Stay aware, curious, and teachable. Take life on life's terms. Your purpose may push you in a different direction, not on your map. Let it. Be so flexible that no storm can uproot you. In the end, you will still be rooted in the world in abundance, and you will indeed experience the beauty that is yours. We love you so much. Yeah. So it really is about flexibility, right? Yeah. I know I'm trying to stay open to whatever is being said, but I feel like every day there's like thousands of possibilities and potentials. And it gets to be, it's not that it's ungrounded. It's just that there's realistically so many different things and places and ways that you can go, So what matters to your heart? That's what I'm hearing. But that is the key thing, right? What makes your heart sing? So, Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives? So, the moon. Could be to do with the full moon in Aquarius on the 12th of August. Yeah. Nine of Cups, Five of Wands, Three of Wands, Hierophant, and the Queen of Cups. Tower, Magician, wow. Six of Pentacles, the Ten of Wands, and Unseen Energies on the bottom, Page of Swords. Yeah, okay, so the kind of call to adventure is like it's almost like a call that you can't really see. It's kind of like a call that you can't really see. And it sounds weird to say that because it's like you can feel it, but you can't see it. You might only see what looks like conflict. You might only see what looks like a rushing torrent. Yeah, I think there's a lot that isn't very clear right now, but that's your job. The thing that could become a tower if it goes unchecked. Your job right now is to just stay positive. And it might feel counterintuitive. It may feel like you're doing nothing because you're not really doing much right now, but that's kind of the point, right? That's the point. The protagonist energy in this spread, this hero's journey, is your ability to commit to something deeper. It's your ability to sink into where you are. But this is also Taurian energy, and it's that sort of very grounded spiritual knowledge coming through. So I think that you're in a pretty good place. Yeah, I feel like you're in a good place. And I do get that there will be, interestingly, the Queen of Cups is showing up in the antagonist position, which tells me that there's there might be an emotional disconnect because you're looking at what's around you as opposed to what, not necessarily disconnected from within, but it's like when you try to filter all that stuff through, it's just going to block you. You're going to get blocked, and blocked meaning that the information won't be able to translate into something coherent for you to be able to work with and understand, right? And I think this is also a little bit of a call to understand how to transmute, right, and to alchemize energies too, so that if you have a shitty day, right, if people go out of their way to make your day harder, or they do it for whatever reason and don't mean to, you can do so many different things with that, but it happened. So, you have to transmute it, and you have to be very honest with yourself and say, okay, how many places am I in a day? And if specific places are draining me to a profound level where I get home and I have nothing left in my tank, is it time to look for new places to be for that length of time in a day, right? Is it time? And, and this could be with work, this could be with creative projects. Like, it's just sort of having a come to Jesus moment with yourself where you really get honest about how much of your energy is being expended transmuting in specific spaces, environments, places, in activities, right? So it's almost like an energy assessment. But that's where it's like, I think it could become, this is like an antagonist energy, because I think that maybe the assessment from the emotional Nine of Cups level hasn't been happening. And it's a scary thing, right? It's a scary thing to look at your job, for example, and to be like, wow, yikes, right? It's a scary thing because that's part of your ego identity in a way, right? You can get that built up if you're thinking about, starting your own business, as I have been. It's a scary thing because it's not scary because you can't do it. It's scary because part of who you are changes in the process, right? And it's like, you can become so many different things along the way, but it's when you stand out and stand up because you're doing a more honest assessment of where you are, right? And it can be a tough thing too, because then it also means you're assessing different friendships and things like that. And this isn't an assessment on the basis of, well, I get this from this friendship, so therefore it's beneficial. No. That's like extractive. That's not great either. But it's about taking enough time out to ask yourself, does what I contribute come back to me in terms of satisfaction with what I do, as far as I can take it, like to the extent where it's not about every day is going to be the happiest day ever. You decide that. But there's also something where you have to ask yourself and be honest about what's actually happening, where and why, right? So I think that that's happening here. And interestingly, the challenge is the Tower. So it's almost like you have this aha moment, and then it's like the overcoming is the Magician. So it's like you get right to work. And this is beautiful energy for the Lionsgate portal, right? It's beautiful energy for that, because it's like you're stepping into your power after saying, I see what's not working. I see what needs to change. It's this honest assessment, I think. And this could be a Tower that comes outside, right? It could come from outside that pushes you into that. But I get the impression that the Magician energy here is you at your finest, I'm hearing. So you could be, and I get that this is like being poised, right? You're poised and ready for the more. You're poised and ready. And it's just, I think, a matter of organizing your inside so that these 9 cups that represent what fulfills you are empty and ready to receive from the universe, or to be poured into, or whatever ones are full to pour into that of another, right? So I think it's that kind of, that energy here. And it's almost like I'm hearing preparing for launch. Some of you could have startups. I don't know. But it's just that energy of understanding, and again, balance. 6 of Pentacles. This is a very straightforward read. It's not even at 10 minutes yet. And I feel like this is like bam, bam, bam. It's just like all here. But I feel like there's like this more balanced exchange that can come about. And the Pentacles also represent that energy of investment, and also how we spend our time, how we spend our energy, how we invest our energy. And I feel like this more even and balanced exchange comes because of actions that you take. I think that it's actions that you take. And I think that, you pull the Tower down in a way. Like, I'm really getting that you pull the Tower down because it needs to go. And the Magician card is here to support that, because as much as the Tower falls, so too is there a rebuilding process. so too is there a process of you building brick by brick from the bottom up. And the bottom is never really the bottom, right? We think about the bottom, but then what does that actually mean in the bigger context? Because you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. So, I know for me with ADHD, paperwork tends to be like a bit of a struggle for me. So I know that when it comes to business stuff, I'm really going to have to find folks to help me with that, and different like centers and resources and whatever that I can go to in terms of entrepreneurship and really figure out the details. But it's like, don't let that shit stop you, because, it's just part of the neurodivergent thing. But like, don't let the things that have been communicated to you about you become the narrative that defines who you are. Is it more challenging to do paperwork stuff? Sure. Yeah, it's really challenging, but it doesn't mean that I can't do it, right? So it's just sort of rearranging your own thoughts too. I think that's part of this as well. I use that example just because this energy feels really powerful. Like, it feels in a lot of readings that I've been watching, less so in the past couple of, like, I would say 2 days, 3 days ish. But, a lot of them have been about change and shifting things and leaving things behind and choosing yourself. You don't need tower after tower after tower after tower, because what do those towers communicate to you, right? When the tower keeps falling, what the fuck is the point of the tower? Honestly, right? Because then it's just you're acclimating to this state of tower fall, when you need to understand that you're a magician. You're in your magician energy. You have everything you need. So, when you have everything you need, that tends to mean that you can rebuild. And it's okay and safe to rebuild. It's okay to do that. People are going to have their opinions. People are going to say shit. They're going to antagonize you. They're going to do all these things. But that's just an energy. And you don't need to pay attention to it. You can like unclick, unfollow, turn something off. And it's not about bypassing. It's just understanding that, okay, that's not worth my energy or my time. And it's making good use of your resources. Because if you want to build something amazing, which I think most people do, you not only have to believe in yourself, but you have to believe that you know what to do with the energy that you have. And don't be afraid of energy like it's some monster in the closet, or like you're getting it wrong, or, like you have to figure it out and there's all this pressure. No, just be you. Because I feel like, even with this channel, for example, I keep using this as an example, but it's fine. Like thinking about changing it, like changing the name or starting up a channel under my own name, right? Under Charlie, so that it's something different. But it's like, do I do that? Oh, I don't know. And like, it's just sifting through all of these different things to make sure that when a decision is made, it's made really, really well, right? But it's about not getting caught in the decision-making process or confusing that, because I think a lot of the time we can confuse the decision-making process with where we are forever. And that's not true. It's just sort of a temporary stop, but it has to just be that stop, right? It just has to be that stop so that you can move on to the next, and not in terms of like this transience with what you want to do. Unless that's where you're at, which is okay. But it's really about understanding that where you are isn't a permanent state, right? The moon energy is not something that's a permanent state necessarily, given the other motion and momentum energy here with the tower. And I do see the 3 of Wands and the Queen of Cups as momentum and movement. Then we have the 10 of Wands at the end, right? Like, this is the lesson that you're taking with you. This is the end of the sort of hero's journey for the day. It's like capping it off, where it's like you're understanding what burdens to leave behind. You're understanding what works and what doesn't. So this is really, it's almost like saying, I can't remember which reader talked about this. But they talked about there's, understanding the why that something happened, like why things happen, why hard things happened. You don't have to understand the why necessarily. And they were talking about this, like it becomes apparent on the path, but understanding that when hard things happen that are often outside of your control, right, you have the power to envision something different of that situation. And that is your superpower. That is your superpower here. Hearing no more, no less. All right. I'm just going to do very brief clarifiers here. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please? What messages do you have for my daily creatives? Whoa, a few. The Fool and the Hermit. And the High Priestess on the bottom. okay. Yeah, I think this is kind of like, this is like your fuck it moment, right? There's a book, I think it was put out by Hay House. I can't remember. It was like fuck it therapy or something along those lines. And I just loved it because it's like you being like, no, you know what? I'm gonna look ridiculous for a time, but this duckling is gonna become a swan. So, right, like it's that energy. It's that energy. And I think that there's a wisdom that you carry with you. There's a wisdom that you're carrying with you. Um, it's, I'm seeing an image. So Ralph Smart is a guy on YouTube, and his channel Infinite Waters Diving Deep, whatever. I think that's the name of it. Not whatever. I think that's the name of it. But I remembered I was sitting in my mom's basement. This was like, I want to say like 10 years ago, maybe 10 years ago plus. And I remember watching when he had like under 100,000 subscribers. And it like he now has like 2 million. Like what? Something like that. Something astronomical growth, which is amazing. But it's almost like what came to mind, he posted something today, and I was just kind of browsing through YouTube after I had, had my experience with the light activation meditation and just sitting with that. And it was, I think it was his, where it was like a tiger. It was like a white tiger in the reflection, and it was this little kitten looking in the puddle in the pool. And I feel like that's really what this is. It's like your inner wisdom helps you to see yourself clearly, even if circumstances around you right now may not look the way that you know that they will or that they can. And I think that's the best kind of position to be in. That's the best position to be in, because that's something that's your starting from experience, right? That's you're starting from experience as opposed to feeling like you're starting from scratch. And I think too that you just kind of have to let yourself love stuff, right? Like just let yourself be passionate about stuff. I'm sure people would look at my doing tarot and be like, what? That's ridiculous. Actually, there are more ridiculous things in this life. And sometimes you've just got to let yourself love shit, because I will tell you, life is like this. Having nearly lost mine several times, I think too, it's bad. How bad is it that I have to be like, man, I have to count? But it's like two, one. Anyways, my brain is a bit foggy. Nonetheless, it's like I can tell you that at no point in those moments was I thinking to myself, I wish I would have given more of a shit about what people thought of me. No, not at all. I was thinking about, like, do the people in my life that I love know that I love them? Right? That's what I was thinking in those moments. And it was never, it's never about what other people think anyway. And usually what I've, been learning more and more is like, it's like, when people want to do what you want to do, I can't remember who said this. It was, again, YouTube, right? Someone had talked about this in terms of like they put stuff online, and like people don't always have the best reactions, but that's not a you problem. That's not a you problem. And like by putting yourself out there and making anything, of course people are going to have opinions. They're going to be pissed, they're going to be happy, they're going to be all these different things. It's the Abraham Hicks quote. None of it is going to have anything to do with you. But I feel like that's sort of, it's not that was getting in the way, but I almost feel like this was like just this noise. Like it's like standing beside a train. In Ontario, they're GO trains. So standing beside a GO train, blaring its horn in Union Station, departing the station. You're not on the train, but you're trying to talk to somebody about the train. And it's like all you hear is this noise. And I feel like that's kind of what this vibe is. But I feel like you're on the train. You're on the train. So, which is, I think, a good energy to be in. Two of Swords. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Two of Swords and Strength on the bottom. Strength in the Hanged Man. I think that this time is also maybe helping you to have a better assessment of your own worth and value with this strength card here and the Hanged Man. It's like this pullback. Two of Swords tends to represent a bit of indecision, but I'm getting that this is like maybe you needed more information. Maybe you needed to trust yourself. And you can't really, there's no sensical way to to trust yourself. A lot of the times that's a high priestess and hermit thing, right? That's a thing you can't really see, but you have to feel. And I think that in this Leo, this could be Lionsgate. Could be Lionsgate. I think it's happening. Like there's something that's shifting in you. And again, like I'm seeing this so much with people, right? Like so many different tarot readers are trying different things. They're trying out different styles of readings. And I love to see it, honestly. Like it's just quite lovely because I'm just like, yeah, own it. Like shit, so many people watch their channels and it's like, man, like some of them have such good, well, all of them do. I'm not going to be like, some of them are better. No. There's something that everyone can contribute in that way, and it's just a delight to watch, right? So it's almost like stepping into that sort of confidence and away from this indecision and away from that period of it's like I think about the justice and perhaps judgment too, in terms of like a cause and effect thing, right? I think of Ace of Swords and Two of Swords in terms of like embodying that. Like Ace of Swords is the cause and the Two of Swords is the effect. And I think the effect here is a little bit of you trying to take in this information and understand what to do with it, right? You're trying to understand what to do with it. It's kind of Mercury's jam, right? It's kind of like Mercury's jam. I mean, Mercury is known for more than just that, but it's what's vibing off the cards here. Oh, two of both. So we have the Five of Cups and the Four of Swords. Yeah, it's like, I think it's like trying to understand how to prepare these 9 cups. And I think that you've done so much work already that all that's left is getting out of the idea that you need to put in more work and that it's like more difficulty or more hard. It's more, right? Like that idea of like FFS. But I think that part of this is you stepping into the understanding of the healing that has taken place. And I feel like that's I'm getting the impression that helps to alleviate or to right side up the cups that you're meant to take with you on the journey, right? The cups that you're meant to take with you on the journey. And we have the Seven of Swords on the bottom. Yeah, so I think it's like it is this honest assessment where you're not really lying to yourself about shit. And that's a good place to be in. Bless my friend. She's my Aries friend. She's one of the few people that will like be completely and totally honest and say, listen, buddy, you're lying to yourself. And it's like, I think we all need people like that in our lives. I think that we should strive to have that should be a big percentage of your circle, not in a way that is detrimental to your energy, but just that helps you to understand when you might be, right? You might be sinking into patterns or things like that. And honest about the tough parts and the hard edges, but also honest about your successes and your light as well, right? Because you want balance, you want both. And who you can also be honest about too. Just to anchor in some reciprocity there. Whoa. So we have the Six of Pentacles on the Five of Wands and the Hierophant. A whole lot more balance. Oh yeah, no kidding. Oh my God. Yeah, so I feel like it's almost like getting a different perspective on this conflict. Like however it is that you're perceiving conflict, whether that's sort of like an inner tug of war or something that's going on for you, that's kind of what it's showing up as. The Six of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles, and Four of Wands. It's like a huge rebalancing that is bringing in a lot more ease, a lot more flow. Things are going to get easier for you or feel easier, but it's because your perspective has changed, right? It's because your perspective has changed. I think about the Hierophant as laughing at some kind of cosmic punchline, like understanding how little we actually have to do in order to have like not just success, because it's so relative, right? But this is about understanding that it's just about understanding that maybe there's there are certain things being taken too seriously and the certain things that need to be taken differently, right? So it's just a sort of realigning of perspective that brings in, it brings in this, I almost get that it's like, it's a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment with where you are, but it's just a sense of stability. Like I'm hearing unfuckwithable, but it's that feeling of not, I mean, I want to say unshakable, but not in a way that is hubris, right? Not in a way that's hubris. So we have the Three of Pentacles. Nope, Three of Cups. Interesting that I thought Pentacles. Yeah. And we have Temperance too. So we have the Three of Cups, the Two of Pentacles, and the Devil. So that's Capricorn energy here. I think this is like an assessment to a little bit of friendships, right? Friendships, and this is the relationships that might feed you and balance, and how you are engaged in relationships that feed others and how those are balanced, right? How those are balanced. And I think this is a lot about the stories that you're telling yourself about them, like the stories that you're telling yourself about them, the stories that you're telling yourself about how you contribute to them or should. This is like overgiving at times, potentially too. So it could be just a rebalancing of perspective, a rebalancing of the emotional centers and your why, right? I think about the cups as the energy of like your why, the emotions that inform your creative actions, your movement forward. Like what is that? What is that fundamental why that informs it all, right? What is that energy? Okay, so celebrate life. Dearest you, we need you to know that you can change things miraculously for you and everyone and make things right. It's never too late. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the burden of an old story. Right? One in which you were a victim of someone else's actions or your own. You don't need to carry this around. You can set yourself free. And honestly, it's so true. Like that is 200% the case. 200% the case. Even advocating for good because of this experience requires your forgiveness to be effective. Forgiveness is never about condoning things that were done. It's about letting yourself off the hook from carrying the burden. Resentment and hurt are like viruses that spread to others, and that is the opposite of what you really desire, right? Imagine what your life would be like without the burdens that you carry when you do not forgive. You can do it. Everyone over here believes in you and adores you, right? I had to go through that recently, and I'm not like trying to spill some tea or anything. It's not really that much of a secret, but, someone close to me, an ex had cancer, and, it was sort of a situation where, you can be mad that it's happening. You can be really upset that it's happening. Or you can choose to be the best person that you can be through it. And you can focus on love and healing, and not like it wasn't, we weren't together when that happened, but it was just like, what kind of person do you want to be, right? Do you want to be the person that, waits until someone's like, do you see people in terms of transactions, right? Like when someone loses their value, like, is it why, right? It's like, do you see relationships through that lens? So and thinking about that, it's like that I share this because for me, it was thinking about how that happened. And, it's really easy to get caught up in feeling like, it's just this sentence right here. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the burden of an old story, one in which you were the victim of someone else's actions or your own. No one has, it's not actions related to cancer, but it's just life stuff, right? Like, and feeling that kind of vibe. She's okay now, which is great. But it's just that energy of like, if you carry that around and you don't allow yourself a chance to grieve it, that is also making yourself a victim. Like if you're not allowing yourself a fighting chance, if you don't allow your heart a fighting chance to let new things and new people and new experiences in, it just won't. It won't, right? And some of that is because life happens when it's least convenient, but you can always choose love. Part of that is allowing yourself to grieve what was lost so that you can then let in and allow something new, right? And that's kind of been an aha moment for me recently, which sounds super obvious, but, it's sometimes things happen, right? Sometimes things happen, but we're always, better off in the end where we choose to make the most of situations that are not so hot, right? So, yeah. But I feel like maybe that there's a little bit of that in here. I feel kind of vulnerable sharing that stuff. But, anyways. Yeah. It's a lot about letting go here and just, I think, a depth of emotion. So I'll leave it there, my friends. But this was your daily creative reading for August 9th. So if this resonated, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. But yeah, if you want to, there are other ways to connect on the channel, so do check that out. But if this is where we part, my darling daily creatives, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, it finds you very, very well, my lovelies. Take care.